The day Earth discovered it could win a galactic war with hamsters began like any other at the Lunar Defense Station. Dr. Eleanor Wright was reviewing security footage from the failed first contact and she noticed something peculiar. The fearsome Drachnid warriors, with their chitinous armor and advanced weaponry, had recoiled from a simple house cat that had wandered into the meeting zone. "Play that section again," she muttered, leaning closer to her holographic display. The cat, belonging to Ambassador Thompson's daughter, had merely stretched and yawned. The reaction from the 7-foot-tall Drachnid delegation was immediate and dramatic. Their antennae had flattened, their compound eyes had widened, and their ceremonial staffs had clattered to the ground as they backed away. The next day, the Drachnids had declared war. Now, 3 months later, Eleanor sat before the United Earth Defense Council, her hands trembling slightly as she prepared to present her findings. Around the circular table sat the most powerful military minds on Earth, including the stern-faced General Octavia Hammond and the shrewd Admiral Rashid Khan. "Ladies and gentlemen," Eleanor began, "I believe I've found the key to defeating the Drachnid Empire, and it's been living in our homes for thousands of years." The room filled with skeptical murmurs. General Hammond's eyebrows rose. "Dr. Wright, we've lost 15 colonies to their ravagers. Those biological weapons of theirs tear through our best armor like tissue paper. Please tell me you're not suggesting we fight them with house pets." Eleanor straightened her spine. "That's exactly what I'm suggesting, General." The Drachnid's reaction to Ambassador Thompson's cat wasn't a coincidence. "I've analyzed every successful defensive action against their forces. New Singapore held out for weeks with minimal military presence. The difference? It had the largest stray cat population of any colony." She gestured, and a new hologram appeared, the genetic structure of a Drachnid warrior. Their species evolved from creatures similar to our ancient arthropods. But unlike Earth's insects, they never developed resistance to mammalian predators. Their entire civilization advanced without facing the evolutionary pressures that shaped life on Earth. Admiral Khan leaned forward, his eyes sharp. "You're saying they're hardwired to fear mammals? That's why their ravagers retreat when they encounter our pets?" "Precisely," Eleanor nodded. "Their ravagers, those giant bioengineered weapons, share the same basic genetic structure as their creators. They're larger, more aggressive versions of the Drachnids themselves. And they carry the same instinctual fears." "This is absurd," General Hammond interrupted. "We can't base our defensive strategy on cats and dogs." The room erupted in argument until a quiet voice cut through the chaos. Colonel Wei Chen, head of Special Operations, spoke for the first time. "We lost my brother's colony last week. 30,000 people. If Dr. Wright is right, we owe it to them to try." Eleanor quickly pulled up more footage, security feeds from various colonies. In each one, the pattern was clear. The massive ravagers, capable of shrugging off plasma fire, would freeze at the sight of common pets. In one clip, a German shepherd chasing a ball sent 3 ravagers crashing into each other in their panic to retreat. "The Drachnids have built their entire military doctrine around the ravagers," Eleanor explained. "Without them, their tactical advantage crumbles. They never expected to encounter a species that kept predators as companions. To them, we're not just enemies, we're monsters who've domesticated their equivalent of ancient demons." Admiral Khan's face had transformed from skepticism to calculated interest. "If we could weaponize this weakness." "We already have the infrastructure," Colonel Chen added. "Every colony has animal shelters. Every Earth city has strays. We've been sitting on an arsenal we never knew we had." General Hammond still looked unconvinced, but her opposition was weakening. "And you're certain about this, Dr. Wright?" Eleanor met her gaze steadily. "General, for the first time since this war began, we have a chance not just to survive, but to win. The Drachnids thought they were invading a primitive species. Instead, they've encountered their worst nightmare, a civilization that turned their ancient predators into beloved pets. A slow smile spread across Admiral Khan's face. Well then, Doctor, I believe it's time to show our friends from the stars exactly why you don't mess with a planet of pet lovers. As the Defense Council began drafting orders, Eleanor's tablet chimed with a priority alert. The Drachnids had just launched a major offensive against the Proxima Centauri colonies. They had hours, at most, to put her theory to the test. The fate of humanity now rested on humanity's oldest companions, and the primal fears of an alien empire that never learned to scratch behind a cat's ears. Captain Marcus Rodriguez stood in what had once been the San Diego Zoo's main pavilion, now transformed into the headquarters of Earth's most unusual military unit. Around him, soldiers who trained for years in conventional warfare were learning an entirely new set of skills: how to handle cats, dogs, and various other small mammals that had suddenly become Earth's most effective weapons against the Drachnid invasion. "Sir, you need to see this," Lieutenant Naomi Tanaka called from the training area. She was working with a team of border collies, teaching them to herd information. The dogs, naturally attuned to following complex commands, had proven particularly effective at coordinating movements to drive ravagers into retreat. Rodriguez walked over, his boots clicking on the reinforced floor. In the training pen, 6 border collies moved in perfect synchronization, responding to Tanaka's hand signals. Each dog wore a lightweight protective vest equipped with shields that could withstand Drachnid energy weapons. "They're learning faster than we expected," Tanaka reported, scratching behind the ears of Atlas, the lead dog. "These border collies can already execute complex flanking maneuvers. The Ravagers won't know what hit them." "Good work," Rodriguez nodded. "How are the other teams progressing?" "Master Sergeant O'Malley's cat unit is excelling at stealth operations. Turns out cats are naturally better at infiltration than our best Spec Ops teams. And you won't believe what Private Zhou has achieved with the Rabbit Squadron." They walked through the facility, passing various training areas. In one section, Maine Coons were being trained to patrol perimeters, their large size and thick fur making them particularly intimidating to the Drachnids. In another, a group of ferrets was learning to navigate through narrow spaces, perfect for reconnaissance missions. "The real breakthrough came from Dr. Wright's latest research," Tanaka continued. "The Drachnids don't just fear our pets, they're psychologically incapable of processing them. Their brains short-circuit trying to understand why we'd willingly live with predators. It's giving us an even bigger advantage than we initially thought." Rodriguez's tablet buzzed with an incoming priority message. He read it quickly, his expression turning grave. "The Drachnids have broken through the outer defenses at Proxima Centauri. They're pushing toward the main colony. High Command wants us to deploy immediately. But sir, we're not scheduled to complete training for another 2 weeks. Time's up, Lieutenant. Get everyone assembled in the main hangar in 30 minutes. Operation Whiskers is going live." The next half hour was controlled chaos as handlers prepared their animal partners for deployment. Each pet was equipped with custom-designed protective gear, the result of a crash program that had turned the world's top military manufacturers into producers of high-tech pet equipment. In the hangar, Rodriguez addressed the assembled forces, 300 soldiers and their animal companions. Some handlers held leashes connected to dogs of various breeds, others had carriers containing cats or smaller mammals. A few specialized units had shoulder-mounted perches for ferrets or rabbits. "I know this isn't what any of you expected when you joined the military," Rodriguez began. "You trained for conventional warfare, for energy weapons and tactical formations. Instead, you're going into battle with humanity's oldest friends by your side. But make no mistake, you are now part of the most effective fighting force ever deployed against the Drachnid Empire." He gestured to a holographic display showing the Proxima Centauri colony. "The Drachnids think they understand warfare. They've conquered dozens of species with their Ravagers. But they've never faced an enemy like us, a species that turned their worst nightmares into beloved companions. Today, we show them why that was a fatal mistake." Private First Class Yuki Yamamoto raised her hand, her Scottish terrier Marcel sitting alertly at her feet. "Sir, what if they've found a way to counter this weakness? They've had time to study our tactics." "Good question, Private. Dr. Wright's team has been monitoring Drachnid communications. They're trying to modify their Ravager's genetic code to overcome the fear response, but they can't do it without compromising the entire neural structure that makes the Ravagers effective weapons. The more they try to fight this instinct, the more it disrupts their entire military system." The deployment signal flashed red, indicating 10 minutes until launch. Rodriguez looked over his unusual army, career soldiers paired with Earth's pets, about to engage in the strangest military operation in human history. "Remember your training. Trust your companions. They understand more than we ever gave them credit for. Humanity has survived because we learned to cooperate with other species. The Drachnids enslaved and modified theirs. Today we prove which approach was better." As the massive transport ships powered up their engines, Rodriguez felt a strange sense of pride. Throughout history, humans had gone to war alongside animals, horses, elephants, even pigeons. Now, at humanity's moment of greatest need, it was the animals they'd taken into their homes and hearts that would turn the tide. "Operation Whiskers is go," he announced. "Let's show these aliens why you don't mess with a planet of pet lovers." The hangar doors opened to reveal the star-filled sky, and humanity's most unusual army prepared to make history. In his carrier, Marcel the Scottish Terrier barked once, as if issuing his own challenge to the Drachnid Empire. Around the hangar, other pets joined in, a chorus of barks, meows, and squeaks that would soon become the sound of Earth's victory. Lieutenant Diana Patel crouched behind a fallen pillar at the edge of Proxima Colony's main plaza, her hand resting on Duchess's back. The Bengal cat's ears were pricked forward, tail twitching as she tracked movement beyond the barrier. Next to them, Corporal Jackson readied his tactical scanner, his German Shepherd Max alert and ready. "Command, this is Strike Team Alpha," Diana whispered into her comm, "we have eyes on the Drachnid forward position. Confirming at least 20 Ravagers and a full battalion of ground troops." "Copy that, Alpha," Captain Rodriguez's voice crackled through her earpiece. "All teams are in position. Remember, this isn't just about driving them back. We need to prove our strategy works on a large scale." Diana checked her tactical display. Around the colony's perimeter, other teams were waiting with their animal companions. The full force of Operation Whiskers was about to be unleashed. "All units, execute Operation Whiskers on my mark," Rodriguez commanded. 3, 2, 1. Mark. Diana nodded to Jackson, who activated his sonic device, a specially designed whistle that only Earth mammals could hear. Across the colony, other handlers did the same. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Dozens of dogs burst from cover, moving in coordinated patterns that had been drilled into them over weeks of training. Border collies herded smaller dogs in attack formations, while larger breeds like German Shepherds and Rottweilers charged forward in an intimidating front line. The effect on the Drachnid forces was electric. The massive Ravagers, each the size of a small tank, froze in place. Their compound eyes widened, antennae flattening against their armored heads. The sight of so many mammals moving in coordinated attack patterns triggered something deep in their genetic memory. "Second wave, go," Diana commanded. From rooftops and hidden positions, cats of all breeds emerged. They moved with practiced precision, using their natural stealth abilities to flank the Drachnid positions. Duchess led a team of Bengal cats, moving like liquid shadows across the battlefield. The Drachnid ground troops began to break formation, their ingrained military discipline crumbling in the face of their species' most primal fear. A massive Ravager stumbled backward, crashing into its companions as a team of corgis darted between its legs. "They're falling back," Jackson reported, excitement in his voice. "The Ravagers are actually retreating." But the Drachnids weren't done yet. From their rear lines came a new sound, a high-pitched whine that made all the animals pause. 3 enormous shapes rose into the air, unlike any Ravager they'd seen before. "Command, we have a problem," Diana reported. "They've deployed some kind of modified Ravager units. They're different." The new creatures were sleeker than standard Ravagers, with reinforced plating and what appeared to be neural modification devices attached to their heads. They moved forward despite the presence of Earth's mammals, though their movements were jerky and unnatural. "Dr. Wright, are you seeing this?" Diana asked. "I am," the scientist's voice was tense but excited. "They've tried to override their natural instincts with technology. But look at the strain it's putting on them. Those neural mods won't hold." She was right. As the modified Ravagers advanced, their movements became increasingly erratic. The neural devices sparked and smoked as the creatures' natural instincts fought against their programming. "Now's our chance," Diana said. "Execute Protocol Omega." This was the moment they'd trained for. From specially designed carriers emerged their secret weapons, hamsters, gerbils, and other small rodents. These tiny mammals, moving quickly and unpredictably, proved to be too much for the modified Ravagers' stressed neural systems. The massive creatures' programming collapsed completely. They thrashed wildly, their natural terror overwhelming the neural controls. One crashed into a building, another trampled its own troops as it fled. The third shot straight up into the air before falling back to Earth with a tremendous crash. The remaining Drachnid forces broke completely. Their retreat turned into a rout as cats stalked their flanks and dogs chased their rear guard. Even their most disciplined troops threw down their weapons and ran from the advancing wall of Earth's pets. Diana stood up, watching as Duchess proudly sat cleaning her paw amid the wreckage of the Drachnid position. Around the colony, other handlers were emerging with their companions, securing abandoned Drachnid equipment and checking for any remaining resistance. "Command, this is Strike Team Alpha," she reported, unable to keep the smile from her voice. "Colony is secure. Operation Whiskers is a complete success." "Outstanding work, Lieutenant," Rodriguez replied. "But don't celebrate yet. We're picking up massive energy signatures from orbit. The Drachnids are calling in their fleet. They're not going to take this humiliation lying down." Diana looked up at the sky, where new stars were appearing, the engines of Drachnid warships moving into attack position. Next to her, Duchess rubbed against her leg, purring confidently. "Let them come," Diana said, scratching behind her cat's ears. "We've proven our strategy works. And I have a feeling our friends here have a few more surprises for them." The battle for Proxima Colony was won, but the war was far from over. Yet for the first time since the Drachnids arrived, humanity had hope. They had found their enemy's weakness, and it was purring in their laps. Dr. Eleanor Wright stared at the holographic display in the Lunar Defense Station's main lab, her blood running cold. The images from their deep space probes showed something unprecedented: massive biological engineering facilities in the Drachnid fleet, working at a pace that suggested desperation. "High Command needs to see this immediately," she told her assistant, Dr. Raj Patel. "They're not just modifying their existing Ravagers anymore. They're creating something entirely new." Within an hour, the Emergency Council had convened. General Hammond, Admiral Khan, and Captain Rodriguez attended via hologram from their respective commands, while Colonel Wei Chen sat beside Eleanor in the lab. "They're combining genetic material from multiple species," Eleanor explained, highlighting sections of the data. "Including, if our readings are correct, DNA from Earth mammals they've recovered from battlefield sites. They're trying to create immunity to their own fear response," Admiral Khan concluded. "How close are they to succeeding?" Eleanor manipulated the display, showing complex genetic structures. "Their science is advanced, but they fundamentally misunderstand what they're dealing with. They think they can splice away millions of years of evolutionary programming without consequences. They're wrong. A new alert flashed across the screens. Captain Rodriguez leaned forward in his hologram. "Doctor, we're detecting massive energy signatures. They're moving their new weapons into position." "How long do we have?" General Hammond demanded. "Hours, maybe less," Eleanor replied. "But there's something else you need to see." She pulled up new data streams. "The genetic modifications they're attempting, they're unstable. Catastrophically unstable." Colonel Chen's eyes widened as he studied the data. "Those creatures they're creating, they won't just fail, will they? They'll turn on their creators." "Exactly," Eleanor nodded. "The Drachnids are so focused on overcoming their fear of our pets that they've ignored basic genetic compatibility issues. They're creating monsters they can't control." "Can we use this?" Admiral Khan asked. "Better," Eleanor said. "We can save them from themselves. If we don't, these new creatures will devastate their entire empire, not just their invasion fleet." General Hammond's hologram flickered as she shifted position. "Dr. Wright, are you suggesting we help the species that's been trying to conquer us?" "I'm suggesting we show them why humanity is different from every species they've encountered. We don't just keep predators as pets, we understand them. We've learned to work with nature, not against it. That's a lesson the Drachnids need to learn, or their own creations will destroy them." The council chamber erupted in argument until Captain Rodriguez's voice cut through the chaos. "She's right. And I know how we can do it." All eyes turned to him as he outlined his plan. It was audacious, unprecedented, and utterly human in its approach. They would need every handler and animal in Operation Whiskers, plus something more, a demonstration of humanity's unique understanding of interspecies cooperation. As the plan took shape, emergency orders went out across Earth and the colonies. Animal behaviorists were called up alongside soldiers. Veterinarians worked with military strategists. A new type of task force emerged, one that would have been impossible for any other species to create. In orbit around Proxima Centauri, Lieutenant Diana Patel received her new orders with a mixture of disbelief and determination. She looked at Duchess, who was calmly grooming herself on the command center's main console. "They want us to do what?" Corporal Jackson asked, checking the orders again. "Save the Drachnids," Diana replied. "By showing them how to properly interact with other species. Starting with our own pets." It was crazy, unprecedented, and exactly the kind of thing that made humanity unique in the galaxy. As Diana watched the massive Drachnid ships approaching, their holds full of genetic monstrosities about to break free, she realized this might be humanity's greatest achievement, teaching an alien empire the value of friendship over fear. "All Operation Whiskers units, prepare for deployment," Captain Rodriguez's voice came over the command channel. "Today we're not just fighting a war, we're preventing a catastrophe and maybe, just maybe, making some very unlikely friends." In the lab, Eleanor watched as the pieces of their plan fell into place. The Drachnids had tried to conquer their fears through force and manipulation. Now they would learn a better way, or face extinction at the hands of their own creations. The final battle of the Drachnid War would not be won with weapons, but with wisdom accumulated over thousands of years of human-animal companionship. It was time to show the galaxy why Earth was known not just for its warriors, but for its ability to turn ancient enemies into lifelong friends. Commander Junho Park stood on the bridge of the Earth flagship, Companion, watching as the massive Drachnid vessels loomed before them. Behind him, in a specially modified section of the bridge, dozens of Earth's pets lay calmly in their designated areas, cats on perches, dogs in comfortable beds, and smaller animals in specialized habitats. "Their new bioweapons are breaking containment," Lieutenant Diana Patel reported from her station, Duchess the Bengal cat perched regally beside her tactical display. Multiple Drachnid ships reporting critical failures in their holding facilities. "Open a channel to their flagship," Junho ordered. "All frequencies, all languages." The communication officer worked quickly, and soon the massive face of Supreme Commander Vexthalic filled the main screen. The Drachnid leader's compound eyes showed signs of stress, his antennae twitching erratically. "Supreme Commander," Junho began, "your genetic experiments are about to backfire catastrophically. We can help you contain this disaster, but you must listen carefully." A shriek of alarm echoed through the Drachnid transmission as something crashed in their bridge. Vexthalic's mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of extreme agitation. "Why would you help us, humans? We came to conquer your worlds." "Because that's what humans do," Junho replied, gesturing to the pets behind him. "We don't just dominate other species, we form bonds with them. Watch." He nodded to Dr. Eleanor Wright, who initiated their carefully prepared demonstration. On every Drachnid ship's viewing screen appeared images of Earth's long history with animals, cave paintings showing early humans hunting alongside wolves, ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs of revered cats, modern families playing with their pets. "Your empire is built on domination," Eleanor explained, stepping forward. "You create weapons through forced evolution and neural control. But there's a better way. We've spent thousands of years learning it." Another crash echoed through the transmission, closer this time. Vexthalic's crew could be seen backing away from something off-screen. "Our containment fields are failing," the Supreme Commander admitted. "The new breeds, we cannot control them." "Because you tried to force them to ignore their instincts," Eleanor said. "You can't simply erase millions of years of evolution. But you can work with it, understand it, form genuine bonds." She picked up a small tabby cat that had been sleeping nearby. The cat purred, rubbing against her chin. The sound of that purr caused every Drachnid on their bridge to freeze. It was completely at odds with their understanding of predator-prey relationships. "Your new creatures are unstable because you tried to splice away their fear without understanding what should replace it," Eleanor continued. "We can help you stabilize them, but first, you need to learn what we learned. Trust has to be earned, not programmed." Junho watched as understanding slowly dawned in the alien commander's eyes. Around them, reports were coming in of genetic monstrosities breaking free on Drachnid ships, but there was hope now, a way forward that could save both species. "What do you propose?" Vexthalic asked. The next few hours were unlike anything in human or Drachnid military history. Earth's animal behavior experts, working alongside military personnel, guided the Drachnid crews in establishing first contact with their own creations. They taught techniques developed over centuries of animal husbandry and companionship. Diana and her team led the most delicate operations, demonstrating how to approach creatures without triggering fear responses. Duchess, her Bengal cat, proved particularly effective at showing how predator and prey instincts could be transformed into something new. The breakthrough came when a young Drachnid scientist, following Eleanor's guidance, managed to calm one of their new creatures not through neural control, but through patience and understanding. The moment was recorded and transmitted throughout the Drachnid fleet, the first time in their history that they had formed a genuine bond with another species. "We've been going about this all wrong," Vexthalic finally admitted, watching as more of the previously uncontrollable creatures began responding to their new approach. "Our empire has conquered dozens of worlds, but we never learned what your species knows instinctively." "It's not too late to learn," Junho replied. "Earth is willing to establish a new kind of relationship with the Drachnid Empire, not as conquerors or conquered, but as teachers and students. We can help you understand what we've learned about working with other species." The war ended not with a battle, but with an agreement. The Drachnid Empire would withdraw its forces, and in exchange, Earth would help them establish their own version of Operation Whiskers, teaching them how to work with other species rather than trying to control them through force. Months later, Junho stood in the newly established Interspecies Cooperation Center on Luna, watching as Drachnid officers learned the basics of animal care from Earth's experts. In one corner, a Drachnid cadet was cautiously offering treats to a patient golden retriever. In another, a high-ranking Drachnid scientist was experiencing the strange pleasure of a cat's purr for the first time. Did you ever imagine it would end like this? Diana asked, standing beside him with Duchess draped across her shoulders. That humanity would save an alien empire by teaching them how to make friends with cats? Jun-Ho smiled. No, but maybe we should have. After all, turning ancient enemies into faithful companions is what we do best. As if to emphasize his point, a chorus of purrs, barks, and happy chirps filled the center, accompanied by the clicking sounds of amazed Drachnid observers. The greatest victory in human history had been achieved not through superior firepower or advanced technology. The end.